Republicans' cuts to Medicaid will mean that our rural public hospitals will be forced to close. More than 300 across the country.
If rural hospitals close, it means that someone having a heart attack will have to wait longer for an EMS. Someone giving birth would have to travel farther to get care. A person in a mental health crisis might get no services at all.
I've actually been traveling into red states to talk to the people there about what they're going to lose. Missouri is going to lose 400,000 people will be kicked off Medicaid's rolls.
So one of the consequences, the unavoidable consequences of the big bill that Donald Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson, the Republicans, are now debating, in addition to all the other terrible things it's going to do, is it is going to lead to a shutdown of a critical number of hospitals. And they're going to be everywhere, but disproportionately in rural parts of the country. Now, I know that MAGA is not going to initially be worried about that because, as we all know, the rural parts of America are filled with godless Antifa commies. But I personally think that those hospitals closing down is a bad thing, and it's not being talked about nearly enough. But now we do have multiple senators trying to spread the word. Murray, Markey, Duckworth, all talking about it. This is a huge long-term consequence, not only for those hospitals that'll close, and we'll give you those numbers, but the knock-on effects it's gonna have for the people who lose access to healthcare close to where they live, how it's gonna affect the hospitals that remain, how it's gonna drive up prices. This is all an absolute disaster. And I get with stuff like, the changes to Medicaid and to SNAP, those are so big that I understand why those are driving a lot of the conversation about this, but this needs to be a part of it. And let's talk about why this bill is gonna result in hospitals closing and how widespread it's going to be. So the Senate is currently debating these cuts to the provider tax, a way for states to get more federal funding for their Medicaid programs, along with House cuts. And they've analyzed that at the American Prospect, that it will lead to 11 million fewer people on the Medicaid rolls, deeply harming the 700 plus rural hospitals already at risk of closure. The Center for American Progress has estimated something like 190 rural hospitals could be collateral damage of this bill. And if that happens, all of their patients are gonna have to find treatment at the remaining healthcare providers, which of course is going to strain those providers and probably result in prices going up. Many of these new arrival patients are likely to be uninsured because, again, they're gonna be thrown off of Medicaid, crushing hospital finances and potentially adding more closures on top. This is terrible. Now, look, we are already in a period of a lot of hospitals closing down. 36 closed between 2020 and 2024. 16 more have already closed down this year. This is already terrible. This is a problem to be solved, not a problem to be exacerbated in your never-ending quest to give tax breaks to corporations and billionaires, but unfortunately that's what they're doing. And while we showed you in that opening montage Senate Democrats pointing this out, I will remind everyone, one Republican Senator, Josh Hawley, has been talking about this a lot as well. He has repeatedly talked about how bad this bill is gonna be for rural hospitals. It's gonna hurt them, in his words, in a big way, and that is obviously true. Now, unfortunately, it's the American Prospect, it's the Center for American Progress that are doing these investigations. One would think that like right-wing think tanks that supposedly care about conservatives and Republicans in these red areas would be doing similar studies, devastated by how bad it's going to be for Trump voters. But so far they seem wildly disinterested in all of this. Brett, what do you think?
When you say this is a problem that needs to be solved, this is a problem that the government is there to solve. Pretty explicitly, right? So you have a government solution or you have a capitalist solution, right? Capitalist solution is great for a lot of things, like how do I, someone's gonna make money off of these fluffy slippers that I use and they're very comfortable and incidentally clean my floors, and whoever invented them should be a bajillionaire. But there are certain things specifically in rural areas that the government needs to step in because the capitalists can't find a way to make money off it, right? Capitalism says these people should die unless they get rich enough and find enough money to pay me enough money for it to make sense for me as a capitalist system to go in and make money off these people dying. And To be fair, capitalism is really good at that because the American healthcare system is a lot different than the European healthcare system in that they are so shameless. They will, if they can, find a way to bring you within a brink of an inch of two things: death and bankruptcy. And they're all out of bankruptcy. You know what I mean? They don't really care much about the bankruptcy. As long as you're alive to keep paying them, that's it. Like, there's an amazing moment on Joe Rogan where Dave Rubin's talking to Joe Rogan about another version of this problem, which is the post office, where Dave Rubin's like, capitalism will figure it out. They'll find a way. You know, the FedEx is much better than the post office. And Joe Rogan's like, no, the FedEx doesn't deliver everywhere because it doesn't make sense. And the post office does deliver everywhere. We take a hit for it because America's better if there's a government agency taking care of things, specifically in this area where business cannot. Now, in the scenario with delivering letters, that's okay. Maybe that's not as high stakes as what these guys are now getting into when that slippery slopes makes its way to Medicaid, which is delivering babies. Delivering people to the hospital, getting people care, delivering medical care that could save someone's life. And it feeds into this very dangerous narrative, if you're a Republican, that they're giving us more evidence to prove, which is they don't care about life as soon as you're out of the womb. They'll let you die because there's not enough money in it for them to let you live.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And we argue that sort of thing in lots of topics constantly on the show and across the network. But this is a big bill that's going to sort of make those trade-offs in a lot of different areas. And thankfully, there are some people who are pushing back against it. Again, we're going to have to wait and see if it's enough of them on the Democratic or Republican side.